continue our conversation about film and movies that came out over the past, since July or whatever, and like catching up on movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about Fast and the Furious. What did you think about that last trailer?
It looked bad.
It was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I know it'll never happen, but still a part of me like dies a little bit every time I see something about the new movie, and especially when I watch the new movie, that I'm like, I wish it could just be more like the first one. Every single
Street
time.
racing and Corona. That's all we need in this film.
It was just like a little heist movie. It was like a heist thriller racing movie. It was like just a combination of so many different things, and it all worked. I thought very well.
It's still my favorite of the franchise.
Yeah,
but I think Fast and Furious is a fun franchise overall, and I liked.
I don't know if I'd call it fun. I mean, because
not anymore.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
But what I think is it was fun through 7. I think 7 was the ending that it should have had, and we shouldn't have had it.
That was the last one with Paul Walker, right?
Yes.
When they drove off into the sunset and they both split. Yeah, that would have been the perfect ending. That would have been fantastic.
Because that was the last film that it was like really over the top. It did have some moments in it that did bother me, like the scenes with like Dom and Letty that were like cringeworthy, and then the fight at the end with the garage falling.
And that was 7.
That was 7.
He had like the wrench, didn't he?
Yeah.
Was that wrench symbolic of him? Like the wrench he used to beat that man nearly to death.
Yeah.
From before the first movie. That's something they don't brush. They don't talk about that in the new installments. How this man nearly killed another man.
That was the last film I enjoyed. Overall, I still really like that film. It ended with Paul Walker and then him driving off in different directions. Should have been the end of the franchise. And then at that point, you could have made not Hobbs and Shaw, because I don't think we ever needed a movie about Shaw's character. I would have made a sequel.
Well, they only made that because, The Rock is like he makes the most money out of any actor in Hollywood.
If I was the studio, I would have made a Hobbs movie.
Fast and Furious presents whatever.
Hobbs and Dom.
No, don't. I don't want to say don't bring because that character. It doesn't really make sense to me anymore because he was a street racer. He was this small time heist person. I don't know why that character is in the position that he is in now.
To what? Save the world 7 times?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. He's a superhero.
No one else can do it. Look, the Chronicles of Riddick movies didn't turn out the way he wanted them to. He couldn't become that kind of superhero. So now he's got to make it happen with Dominic Toretto.
They keep making money, so but 7.
Not here, I don't think.
I think it should have ended. Then we got 8, which at the time after 7, and they were making 8. A lot of people were like, "Man, they should have ended it with 7," and I was like, I think it's possible the franchise could continue without Paul Walker. And they didn't need Paul Walker in that franchise for it to be successful.
Well, the third one did all right, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know how it did, financially, but they made another one.
I wasn't against them making an 8th one until I saw the movie, and I was like, "Man, these people were right. They shouldn't have made this movie. It sucked."
And that was the one where all of the cars, the GPS or self-driving cars, came to life.
Yes,
and that was also the one with the submarine, right?
Yes, and it's also the one that we find out Dom has a kid with another woman, not with Letty.
Oh, okay.
I forgot about that. It was the woman he was with when he thought Letty was dead.
Let's talk about what's her name? She's a character still, isn't she? She worked.
Elena is her character.
She worked for
Hobbs.
Yeah.
Just underdeveloped character. The time frames are completely weird in these movies. They don't make any sense. I don't really know how long he was even with her. But they broke up obviously when Letty came back because he was like, "I'm gonna go get Letty." Bye. And so they broke up, but she was pregnant. So then he finds out that this kid's his and 8. The kid's a fresh baby still.
So that just happened.
It happened recently.
Yeah.
But this film feels like it's later because I feel like they haven't been together since the beginning of 6. So how long?
Do we have a time frame for these movies?
I don't think so. I don't think they care.
Do we have a timeline somewhere? I mean, I think it's safe to say we know when the first movie takes place, but then after that, it's just up in the air. I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I guess it's good for them. They don't set any boundaries for themselves.
Yeah, it's the Wild West. But so all that stupid, and then Charlize Theron's in it. You get this.
Yeah, those dreads.
Yeah, you get this really great actress, and you give her this shit to work with.
She said yes.
Yeah, I don't know. If you thought her haircut was bad in 8, did you see the trailer where her haircut looks like a 9?
I don't even think I saw her I don't remember seeing her.
She has a bowl cut in this one, so that's the real villain of the film.
Okay. That way second graders everywhere can have someone to look up to. Right?
Oh, yeah. And we get John Cena in this one, too.
I'm actually excited about that.
I didn't see him in the trailer.
I'm actually excited about that. That was the one thing about the trailer that I was like, this seems like a step in the right direction. Because, I mean, I ain't saying John Cena's the best actor of all time, but that movie, Blockers, Cock Blockers, whatever it's supposed to be called, that was good. I liked that. And what else was he in? He was in that movie with Bill Hader and...
Didn't watch that, but I did see him in Blocker. Or I didn't see him, but I guess he was there. Blockers and Bumblebee.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Oh, I enjoyed him in that. I think he has some comedic chops, but he also can be an action star.
He's also just a hunk, so he fits right in. Because The Rock's probably not going to be in any more of these movies.
He's coming back for 10.
Is he?
He is not. He's not in 9. But he is coming back for 10.
Okay, because last I heard was that Vin Diesel was mad. They were giving him a movie, so he's like, "You're not going to be in."
That's why he was not in 9.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I assumed he wouldn't be coming back.
He confirmed on his Instagram, Dwayne Johnson, that he was going to be back in 10.
Universal was like, "Listen, Ben,
He's coming back.
This is a problem."
So, yeah, John Cena's in this, which I think is a good fit. And I was happy about it until I found out that he was playing Vin Diesel or Dom's brother.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. That does sound dumb. I forgot. I just totally forgot about it. Just like I almost forgot he was in the movie. I just kind of blocked out that whole trailer when I saw it. But
and when I was watching the trailer, I was like, I started getting the vibe that that's what the direction they were going, and I was really like, oh man, I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't do that. They just did that.
Okay. So for a movie for a fucking franchise about family, I don't know how many times we're hit over the head, but that's what these movies are about. It's family.
This guy hasn't been mentioned once.
The kid thing, that's okay. We can accept that a kid was created and born, okay, in this universe. We can accept that. But a man that is maybe a little bit younger than Dom's supposed to be, or same age even, that he just never had a single mention whatsoever in any of the movies. I mean, we know that Vince showed up in 3rd grade and never went home. We could have just said one line in the first movie about Dom's brother that he never saw. I'm sure they weren't. I'm sure they weren't thinking
there
that far
was
ahead.
no plan for that.
Yeah, but
And
I
now
mean, it's
they
just funny that they're gonna if you want to bring him in as a character, all right, but just don't have it be that character. You know what I mean? Like something that important.
Well, my other question is this what is the father? What's the parentage here? Is him, Mia and Dom all siblings the same? They have the same parents?
Maybe when Mia had a spray tan, they might have passable same parents, but I don't think so.
Because it would seem like we don't really. I don't know what Vin Diesel is.
God.
Huh?
God.
But if you want to say that him and Mia have the exact same parents, that's whatever, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But are you going to tell me that John Cena and Mia have the same parents too? I don't know.
He'll be a half brother.
That's what I'm thinking. But then also Vin Diesel says that he is his little brother in the trailer, right?
Should have watched this trailer before we recorded it.
So
it's just I only watched it one time, and really all that I remember is that scene from the very end. And letting him in the car.
Which made no sense. I don't know what is happening. That was
Gotta up the
garbage.
stunts, dude. Man, they took down an airplane. They took down a submarine. What's next?
Not to mention, was Charlize Theron in a spaceship?
That's where they're going.
if they don't go to space, these movies have just been a waste.
Yeah, but then after that, what can they do?
Then you mix it in with Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Or Transformers. They're
As
both
long as what's his name from the first and the third Jurassic Park, isn't it?
William H.
Oh,
Mason.
well, you said
Dr.
Transformers.
Grant.
You said Transformers. Right?
Either one, because they're both owned by Universal. I actually think Transformers would work better.
Okay. Yeah.
So make your
Maybe
10th
it's about cars.
make your 10th Fast and Furious film, which is now going to be split into 2 parts.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Vin Diesel came out and said it had to be split into 2 parts. You know, the fans deserved it.
Do we though? Do we really deserve?
So
That kind of thing.
we're getting part 1 and part 2 of Fast and Furious, 10 now.
Okay.
Hopefully they go to space and there's like a space battle and
They go to the moon and they drive rovers on the moon. Have a
definitely.
race and that shit. You know, okay. So we've already established Vin Diesel can kind of like fly and is kind of like has superhero strength qualities. Because I think
Is he going to punch the moon?
well, I was thinking just like the 2 rovers chasing each other, maybe a couple more on Mars, and he's like because it's low gravity or not Mars, the moon. Because it's low gravity, he's just jumping between rovers, grabbing dudes, throwing them out of the seats.
These are great ideas.
I'm available for hire. Universe.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's what we see in part 2.
I'd put that in part 1.
Yeah.
Put it in part 1, and then
Get people locked in and see what
Yeah.
they do next.
and then part 2.
It's all like a prequel.
Part 2, bring it back to Earth, and the movie takes place in China.
Okay, like that fourth Transformers movie.
Yeah, because the Chinese audience,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
where
they're
that's where they're getting the money.
Yes,
for these
exactly.
movies.
Yeah.
So the 10 part 2, put it in China.
Well, they won't get it anymore because everyone's going to die from
Oh,
coronavirus.
don't say that. Yeah, I want to see them racing cars on top of the Great Wall.
No, along the side of it.
Both.
Have some kind of tire that latches on.
It goes on the
You're
side.
traveling so fast, it has such strong traction. They latch right down onto the side, come up, pop up onto the top, land, keep driving. These are
Exactly.
ideas.
That's what's going to happen. And, yeah. And then that ends the franchise as we know it. But we have an end credit scene in Fast and Furious 10 Part 2 with Transformers.
Or just spin-off movies. More spin-offs about the characters in between movies or something.
No.
No? Transformers only?
And Fast and
Okay.
Furious 11 is actually going to be the next Transformers film, and Michael Bay's going to come back and direct it.
I hope so. Michael Bay's last movie didn't do too well. That Netflix movie, what is it, 600
And that's when they're going to... Well, they've already done it. Ryan Reynolds is already in the... he's in Hobbs and Shaw. So he's obviously going to be... He's obviously... So he's going to be in...
So you're saying it's Deadpool's in the...
Disney's not getting anything.
No.
No.
Oh, come on. We all know every character Ryan Reynolds plays now is some variation of that.
Well, definitely in Hobbs and Shaw. It's definitely them trying to copy Deadpool. But Kevin Hart's in Hobbs and Shaw too.
Of course.
Maybe that's what they'll do. They won't continue. 10 will be the end of Dom's storyline. But the next Hobbs and Shaw movie that they set up is actually going to be connected to... No. Scratch that again.
Kevin Hart will play Hobbs.
Scratch
going
it.
forward.
Scratch it again. So, yes, like I said, the 11th Fast and the Furious movie is actually going to be the next Transformers movie. So we're going to have Vin Diesel. He's going to be driving a Transformer. You're going to have all the characters from that bleed in. But you're also going to bring in people from the Transformers franchise.
Does Shia LaBeouf get to come back?
Shia LaBeouf's not coming back.
What if he does? What if he says yes? What if he says yes?
Instead, you're going to get Mark Wahlberg, and you're going to get Josh Duhamel.
John Cena.
It'll be a little bit
John
weird.
Cena will play 2 different characters.
Tyrese Gibson will play 2 different characters too, so it's going to be.
Shit, yeah. He was always my favorite of both of those franchises.
So all of this is going to happen, and it's going to be like a mind. It's just. But obviously Michael Bay's doing it, so it makes sense. So you're going to have that, but then you're also going to make Hobbs and Shaw 2, which ties in with G.I. Joe.
Which
he plays two characters. He'll play two characters
So
there
now
too.
Channing Tatum's going to be involved in this
Yes,
franchise.
yes.
Now that's something I can get behind. Channing Tatum.
So- We have the Fast and Furious blends in with Transformers one direction and blends in with G.I. Joe in the other direction, and then they both come back together for Jurassic Park. You
Okay.
have all of these different characters in Jurassic Park, and Universal has this one giant shared universe.
Dinobots.
Yeah.
That's how they make Dinobots.
Then Chris Pratt will be in it too. And William H.
Macy.
Macy maybe.
No, I wasn't going to say William H. Macy. It's the other guy, Dr. Grant. Alan Grant. I want him to come back. Whoever you are, please do these movies.
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill, that's the one. Yes.
Yeah. He's going to come back and he will die. His character will die in the movie. And
His character probably will die in this new Jurassic World movie.
you think?
Probably. I don't know. I mean, he's old, isn't he? He
Honestly,
probably doesn't want to really do it.
I don't know. Like, they've said they have large roles in the film. Do I believe them? Not really. They'll probably have a few scenes of them talking, and they won't have any like action in the film. Especially,
I mean, if I don't see him running away from dinosaurs and like doing some archaeological,
I doubt it. You won't
shit.
see that. They'll be interviewing him. Laura Dern will probably have the most screen time of the original characters because she's like she's an Oscar winner now, and she's becoming like more into different franchises. So she's gonna have like a big moment in the film probably. But then later we're going to see Dwayne Johnson punch T-Rex in the face.
Okay,
It's gonna happen.
I'll get behind it.
So many different options here, guys. We're available.
I mean, wasn't it Universal that tried to do the Dark Universe?
Yeah, you can bring that in.
You got
You
this.
got Tom Cruise.
No, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just like, here's a couple of franchises that need their own universe. You know what I mean? Like, just bring it all together, and then you have like the ultimate fucking money making $1.5 billion on every opening.
All seriousness, though, at this point, you could start bleeding some of these together. Jurassic Park, no. Let's keep that separate forever. But could you?
You ever read Jurassic Park? It's like the only thing of these that are based on like substantial source material.
I'm sure we've talked about this in the past. What do you think about the new Jurassic Park, anyways? Because Colin Trevorrow, who made Jurassic World, is coming back, and he's making the new Jurassic World, like Jurassic World 3, Jurassic Park 6, whatever you want to call it. It's actually called Jurassic World Dominion. That's the new title.
I didn't really care for 4.
I thought 4 was fun.
I don't
It
quite
wasn't great.
remember much of it. I remember, I think, a little bit more from 5. But I don't remember.
5 was awful.
Let's just say this. I've seen 1, 2, and 3 many, many, many times growing up, and even up to now. And I've probably only seen those movies once each. So,
I've watched Jurassic World at least twice, if not maybe 3 times. I own it, so I think I've watched it 3 times. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I've only seen once, and that was in theaters, and it was so bad.
I couldn't even remember the name. I had to call it 5.
I didn't. The other day, I was trying to think of it when I found out Dominion was the title for the next one, and I was like, what was the name of the last movie? And I had to sit there for like 20 minutes trying to figure it out, and then it finally hit me.
Well, I mean, it's like in the book, there's a lot of like the business aspect of it, with like behind the scenes and Hammond and stuff, and how he like runs his businesses, and how they like built all of this basically.
Well,
and it's like it seems like that's sort of what they're doing in like 4 and 5. They've like they've explored a little bit more about the business aspect in the corporation that owns these things, But I don't think they've done it well.
they haven't.
So
James Cromwell's
it's not
character
really interesting.
in 5, I think he was in the original book.
I don't remember. I was like
He
in 10th grade when I read it.
he was someone who helped John Hammond create Jurassic Park, at least from the business sense.
Mhm.
And he's a big part of 5 before he's killed, and I think he was in the books, but like they didn't ever talk about him in the movies until now. And then it's like, I don't know. Do we need this? Does it need to be in there? You just got this cloning stuff happening now, and it's like really none of this. Like their idea for 4 actually, I think worked. It was like you ended the third one, and you bring back 4. 13 years later, or 14, 12 years later, however long it was between 3 and 4, and someone else has bought the property. They actually turned it into what John Hammond always envisioned, sort of, with his theme park and letting people see dinosaurs and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But not exactly what he envisioned, because I don't know how accessible it is for people and all this different stuff. I know that it's more. It's like a Disney World type thing, so I guess maybe it is like you mentioned. I don't know, but I thought 4 was what they should have made. I just didn't love the execution of it. I think the screenplay should have been better. I don't think the main characters, their dialogue and their motivations were that strong.
Yeah.
But I think it was what it should have been as far as the movie goes.
Well, Chris Pratt was coming off of Guardians of the Galaxy, wasn't he? Or did they make him about the same time?
It came out a year later, so it was shortly after.
So, I mean, he was like... I don't know if he was really the one to even do that.
I don't think so. I never really found him to be
I feel like
actor.
they've always had this idea for a script, this the treatment for a script that they've always just had since the 90s or early 2000s, whenever they made the third one, and then they're just like, okay, it's been long enough. Maybe we should make one of these again. And then they're like, how can we take this and plop it into some template, story, and who do we have on call here at the studio? Oh, Chris Pratt's available. Well, we got him doing this, this, and this. Maybe he'd do this for us. And they're like, he's big enough. Put him in.
The funny thing is, for some reason I was thinking Jurassic World. Jurassic Park 3 came out in 2003. I think it actually came out in 2001. But yeah, when they were always trying to make Jurassic Park 4, I remember all of these years I kept remembering these leaks and these rumors coming out that they were trying to make a movie with the government or whoever taking these dinosaurs and weaponizing them.
So what we got in 5, basically.
But further.
Yeah.
Like, there's concept art of these raptors.
Putting weapons on.
Yes, them having guns and stuff.
Okay.
Which is absolutely stupid.
Yeah. Well, you could have some kind of like haptic feedback scenario.
The idea of using them as soldiers and stuff, like they talk
we're
about...
already suspending our disbelief that we'd be able to recreate these creatures, but, so, I mean, I think we could suspend our disbelief that they are as intelligent as maybe orcas. Orcas could probably do that.
I don't know. Using them as
They're
soldiers, I'm for. I think that's an interesting story idea. But giving them weapons is a bit too much for me. But Spielberg apparently didn't like the idea. He kept, at the time, rejecting the screenplays until finally they made
Rightly
4,
so.
Jurassic World.
Mm-hmm.
But they still have that idea. I feel like that idea is still there because they talk about the making.
That's what they were talking about doing in the 5th one, right? They were like genetically breeding these animals to be like to sell to private,
Right,
or
and they talk about that before
governments.
too, because that Vincent D'Onofrio's character was wanting to get the raptors into the military, and he's like, no, they're not used. They shouldn't be used for that. And then we get to 5, and they're trying to like privately sell them to these different people, black market, the auctioneers, all these different people, the government, whoever.
Some slum lord in Bolivia.
Right. So
he's going to use it to take out his cartel enemies. That's a movie I'd want to see.
Well, you could open a movie and show different. I don't want to give them any ideas, but there's lots of possibilities. This 5 was bad. The screenplay was terrible. There was plot holes. For an example, obviously there's the volcano erupting, and there's the conversation: should we go and save these?
Was
dinosaurs?
there ever even a volcano there? Was that a part of the story in any way? I don't remember.
In 5?
No, of the island in particular. Like, was that like the main island? I know there's
Yes.
I know there's different ones.
Well, that's what I was about to get to.
They had different properties out there in that
There's 2 islands.
archipelago.
Okay, you have island number 1, which is the main island.
Yeah.
Which is in Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
We see it. Okay, so it's in Jurassic Park.
It was in Jurassic Park 3. No. The main island. The second island was in the second one and the third one, right? Or was the second island just in the third one? And we had like a shot of it in like the first or the second movie. Because I remember there was like, I think the second one took place on a different island.
I want to say, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm getting a little confused now. I think we have the main island, which is what we saw in the first film, and that's in the first film. And then in Jurassic Park 2, we go to a different island, and that's the island where they breed the dinosaurs. And then in Jurassic Park 3, they go back to that same island because it's different people. It's Dr. Grant and it's not Malcolm.
But doesn't he also say that he like went? This isn't the island he went to.
Yes, he says that in 3. So the island in 3 is definitely the second island, not the main one. And I think that's the same. I think that's the same island though in 3 that it is in 2. And then we go to the Jurassic World, and that's the original island again.
Yeah. Rebuilt.
And now we're on the island in 5 at the beginning, the one with the volcano, and that's also the original island. That's in 1 and 4.
That was my main question. I don't remember there being a volcano mentioned in the first movie.
There's never a volcano mentioned.
Okay.
Which is kind of weird that you would even do that. Why would
that you would pick that island that there's an active volcano on to build up your multi-billion dollar research investment that countries, nations are probably investing in secretly to get to develop this technology.
Why would you not go with the storyline of a big storm coming, or maybe a tsunami? I don't know. Like I feel like there's something else you could.
Isn't it the South Pacific? You could easily do a tsunami out there. It'll easily make sense anywhere, really.
Some other story other than what they ended up doing, but
or maybe it was the Caribbean. I don't remember.
I think it was towards Central America.
Yeah. So like the Gulf of Mexico somewhere.
But I'm not 100% sure. But that's my thing. So they make such a big deal about this, and it is a big deal because it's the conversation: should we go and save these dinosaurs, or let them die?
World Conservation Services and organizations will probably be all about that.
But one of the big things that I feel like is missing from Jurassic World, or Jurassic Park 5, I'm just going to call it that, they don't ever mention the second island.
Yeah.
And there's still dinosaurs on that island, right? Or do they all just die?
What happened at the end of the third one? At the end of the third one, those pterodactyls, or whatever kind of flying creatures they were flying away from that second island.
Well, where do they go? That's never mentioned.
They got shot down once they reached
I'm sure
some coastline. I don't know, but that's a good question. All of those dinosaurs were still there.
So
and they had whole systems in areas set up on that island. They had the whole aviary that they went to, and that was all just built in there, and they had all kinds of facilities set up.
Because that was the breeding island.
So did this company that came in the fourth one not buy the rights, the deed to the second island?
We just want the one.
Did they not know there was a second island? Was it kept a secret? I mean,
well, Malcolm definitely knows there's a second island.
Yeah,
they interview him in that movie, and he's like, "Let them all die" or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't go even mention that.
I don't really even remember his parts of the movie. So.
I was so pumped because from the trailer, I thought he was coming back, and it's a big role, and he only had that. He had 2 scenes in the movie, but they were really one scene. I think split into 2 at the beginning and end of the film.
It was a one-day shoot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really excited for the next one. I hope it's good, but I'm not excited for it because they've let me down with the last film. And
to be fair, I was a child when I saw Jurassic Park 3, which is my favorite one.
That's your favorite?
That's my favorite one, yeah. I was a child when I saw that one, and that's why I really like it. I don't rewatch it regularly. If it's on TV, I might leave it on, but I don't really watch TV.
To me, the first one is just it's a 5-star film for me. I think it's great.
No, and I mean, I love the first movie too, but it's also because I read the book as well. I never read The Lost World. When I bought the book, it came with both of them, but I never read the second one. But I enjoyed the second movie.
Yeah, I liked the second one for the most part. I like Julianne Moore. So
the whole part about it coming back could have probably been left out, towards the end.
The what?
The T-Rex being brought back to the mainland in the second one.
You feel that was tagged on?
That could have probably been left out, and it wouldn't have affected the story that much.
I thought it was interesting because it kind of like brings in like a King Kong type thing.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It's almost like because, and this is for an oddly very very specific reference, but the 2005 King Kong movie, Peter Jackson's King Kong, had a video game adaptation to it, and it was basically the movie played out in game for the most part.
I had the game, I think.
And there was like a lot of like, I don't want to call them filler levels, but levels in between story beats that you saw in the movie. And there was this alternate ending that you could unlock, where instead of like gunning down Kong at the end because you get to fly in like a biplane and shoot him down, instead of doing that, you like save him and take him back to the island. And like the last shot is him on the island. So that's kind of like how Jurassic Park 2 like ended. Didn't they take him back to the island? That T-Rex?
I don't remember.
I
think so.
I don't really remember either. But that it always reminded me of that like alternative ending for that game, for that story.
Those are movies that I've seen, but like I don't ever like fully like remember every bit of it because I don't love them. They're okay. They're not bad. Like the main scene from Jurassic Park: The Lost World that I have in my head that I remember is like when the bus thing goes over the cliff.
Yeah, and it's got Julianne Moore
And Vince Vaughn and Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum, yeah.
That's the main thing that stands out for me when they have like the baby T-Rex and everything. But yeah,
which was just a copy of the first movie with that car going over.
They had to amp it up,
How can we do this again, but bigger?
That's a lot. That's a lot of studio sequels, though.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, look at Die Hard 2, Die Harder.
I've never seen those movies.
First one's good.
People say it's a Christmas movie.
I don't care. Once you get past the first one, though, there's no point in watching anymore of them. The third one's good. I like the third one, but did it need to get made? Probably not. But I did like it. It had Samuel L. Jackson in it in New York. Any other topics?
They said they're going to do a sequel to Knives Out. I saw that movie.
I'm excited about that. I liked the first Knives Out.
It felt like, because what they're going to do, it's just a different scenario, different people, but the detective Ben Lovell is coming back. That's the only connection.
Yes.
So it seems like, because I heard that before an announcement or any kind of like mumbling of an announcement for a sequel. That's what people on Twitter wanted. Hey, give us a serialized version of this with this character coming in and solving different crimes.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they heard that and was like, I've got a great idea. And they just take this into a boardroom meeting and was like, what if we do this? And yeah, I'm glad. I like it.
You got any hopes or wishes of cast and settings that you
I
would
just
like to
don't
see?
hope it ends up like Murder on the Orient Express
That movie sucked.
or Murder on the Nile or whatever the sequel's
The
called.
sequel's called Murder on the Nile, yeah.
I don't really like those kind of books either, so. But, the stories are pretty good.
It'd be cool if they put the second one in like
Christie books and stuff.
the Caribbean or like Florida. No, put it in Florida. Put the sequel in Florida. That's what I hope.
There's so
Put it in like the Florida Keys.
here's a story that I just thought of that I remembered. Tom Holland has said that the Uncharted movie, because he's slated to be Nathan Drake in that.
Yeah.
That it's going to take place. It's going to be draw heavily from the fourth game, A Thief's End, and that was like it was the only one I ever played, so I didn't play the first three, but I hear they're really good stories, because the developer of those games make like cinematic games. They made The Last of Us, and that's being made into a movie, I think. Somewhere down the pipeline,
When are we ever getting this Uncharted movie? Because I've been hearing about it for years.
Well, this is the first time I've heard anything about an actor being.
And he's been attached to it for like at least 2 years.
Has he? I haven't heard of that. Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember. But I just remember seeing this recently that it's going to be drawn heavily from the fourth game, and that was like a story about Henry Avery, the pirate, and like them finding a pirate utopia with other pirate captains from around the world that come together in like a small colony in Madagascar, and it's like a big adventure to try and find it and stuff. And I love historical fiction stories like that. That's why I like National Treasure so much. So it'll be cool. I think if that's the route they go, and it actually is getting made, it's in production somewhere, and that's going to be a really cool story to see. I think they'll do it pretty well.
What do you think about the Indiana Jones thing? Have you heard anything?
That Spielberg's not going to direct it.
Spielberg will not be back for the Indiana
Is
Jones.
Harrison Ford coming back?
Yes.
Is Shia LaBeouf coming back?
I would say no. There's been no word on whether Shia LaBeouf's coming back, but I highly doubt it.
That's a little bit disappointing. I liked him. I mean, when I saw him in the movie, I was like young, so I was like, oh, it's the guy from Transformers.
I think you have a better chance of Shia LaBeouf coming back now that Spielberg is gone.
Yeah,
because
they had problems.
Yeah, and especially given that they're trying to get James Mangold to direct the fifth one.
Didn't he make a Shia LaBeouf movie this past year?
No, but he did direct Ford vs. Ferrari. He did direct Logan, The Wolverine, and The Walk the Line, Copland. He's a very good director.
I saw all of those except for Copland.
Definitely watch Copland. It's very good performances from Stallone and whatnot. It's a 90s film, 1997, I believe. But he's a good director. I think he's a very good choice to direct Indiana Jones 5. But we don't know anything about the story, so it's hard for me to give much thought about it because I don't know what we're getting. I don't know if this is a passing the torch movie. I don't know if this is a final for Harrison Ford's character. Is it maybe set in the 1940s and they're de-aging Harrison Ford the whole movie? Looks like they're pulling an Irishman type thing. I don't think that's what they're doing, but
I don't know. I think it would be a mistake not to bring back Shia LaBeouf. When did the fourth one come out? What year was it?
2008.
Okay, so it's been 12 years. I mean, he's grown up a lot, and I think he's a fantastic actor.
Definitely.
Now. I mean, not that he was awful then, but with probably what his expectations of being on that set and what it meant for him as a young actor, and what probably transpired in the way they made the movie, and probably didn't really care. Because he's like, oh wow, I get to be part of this historic franchise, and it probably didn't live up to his expectations. He's probably gotten over that, and has matured enough to the point where he understands more about how to make a movie, and what it means to be on a set like that.
I think at this point though that he wants to make movies that he feels connected to the character and believes in. So to me, first of all, there's two things here. Number one, what screenplay are we using now? Because whatever screenplay they had originally wrote, if that was the screenplay that Spielberg was okay with, I don't think it had Mutt in there.
Yeah, probably.
And if it did, because I thought about this in the past, that they could, if Shia didn't want to come back, they could easily continue Mutt's character and even have the passing the torch to him, but bring in a new actor because it's been 12 years and just replace Shia with a different actor.
Yeah, I mean, that could work. That's I feel like that's a cheap way.
I think so too. I don't want to see that, but I think it's possible.
It's happened before. It happened, Batman Begins and Batman, or The Dark Knight?
With Rachel's character?
Yeah.
I think you could very easily do that and say, bring Mutt back, and now he's Chris Pratt. I don't want Chris Pratt to play Mutt, but I'm just saying a lot of people wanted him, or voice for him to be like a new Indiana Jones, which I think is ridiculous, but because I definitely don't see Chris Pratt playing a professor.
How many franchises can one man win?
If anything, Chris Pine would be a better choice, which is what Harrison Ford got confused and didn't even know who Chris Pratt was when he did that interview. But
it happens. They're all white males named Chris that are all handsome and have very.
Did you see that interview I'm talking about?
I think I saw something on Twitter about it, but I didn't.
Who would you like to see being the next Indiana Jones? Me.
I feel like they could do that if they wanted to with Mutt.
Mm-hmm.
And if he was in Spielberg's, the version that he was going to make, I think that's what the case was, or he wasn't in it at all. Now, could they have a new script that they're working with instead of that one? Or could James Mangold come in and be like, let's bring Shia back? And if James Mangold came to Shia and pitched him this idea, given how good of a director he is and the work that he's done, I think Shia might reconsider.
Based on whose script? Who would write it? James Mangold?
Well, right now, Actually, so the guy who wrote Indiana Jones, so George Lucas used to write them.
Yeah.
He
Always a better writer than he was a director. It might be.
I think he's a better storyteller and producer.
Okay. Yeah.
If anything. But I'm pretty sure that he wrote the first three. The fourth Indiana Jones, I thought he wrote as well, but apparently he just wrote the story, and somebody else wrote I think David Cope, or I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but I'm going to say David Cope, wrote the screenplay for Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Mm-hmm.
He also wrote movies such as Spider-Man, like the Tobey Maguire one and stuff. So I don't think he's bad, but he's gotten some flops in there.
Mm-hmm.
He actually was the original writer for Indiana Jones 5, and he ended up leaving and was replaced with Joe Kasdan, which is John Kasdan's son.
Okay.
Or Jake Kasdan, sorry. Jake Kasdan, John Kasdan.
Any relation to Lawrence Kasdan?
I just had a stroke.
I don't. It was a legit question.
Dude, yeah, it was his son. I don't know who John Kasdan is. I don't know who I'm talking about here.
Oh, okay.
Jake Kasdan is Lawrence Kasdan's son.
Okay.
There's too many of them. Okay.
No one cares about these people. really, like we're talking about them. No one cares about them.
They are the people who wrote Solo, and Jake Kasdan is the person who wrote and directed the two new Jumanji films.
Okay, well, I saw the first one. We saw it.
Yeah,
that was good.
So, and the second one I think is better.
Okay.
So he's writing the new Indiana Jones.
Okay. All right.
Now with possibly James Bond directing. So. I think it sounds fun. I think it's headed in a good direction with the people we got involved, with Harrison Ford coming back too. Maybe bring Shia back. I think it'd be awesome to see him. But, the big question is, what is the story in this film? I also think it's probably going to be based around Vietnam, given how many years has passed since the last film and where it would be at in history.
Yeah.
I think
What year was the fourth one in?
I think it was late 50s.
Okay.
Because there was Elvis music playing. And there was some Russian stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There was there was the refrigerator thing at the beginning with the nuke.
Yeah.
And stuff. I think it was late 50s. So I think
it doesn't really matter. No one's gonna ask.
I think this one's probably going to be in the 70s.
Okay. Well, when you said Vietnam, I was thinking late 60s.
I would say early 70s.
Okay.
Around the end of the Vietnam War or something like that.
Well, Vietnam in the early 70s.
75? What are we doing?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I only got to episode 8 of the Ken Burns Vietnam documentary. I never got to the last two episodes. I don't know how it ends. I don't know how it ends. I saw the beginning.
All I know is Kong Skull Island took place, and I want to say the early to mid 70s. It was like 73 or something, I want to say. And that's when.
But that movie sucked. It did.
Actually,
wasn't John Goodman in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not great, but I actually did rewatch it before seeing the new Godzilla, and I liked it a lot better this time around. I actually liked it better than the new Godzilla.
When do we get Pacific Rim 3?
That movie sucked. The second Pacific Rim.
I got another veer off topic.
Okay.
Topic to talk about. Have you seen Natural Born Killers?
I have. I didn't like it.
Yeah, you didn't like it. I saw it for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and Tarantino he came up with the story. It didn't say he wrote it because I paid attention to the credits. I always thought he wrote it and sold the script, but I think he just sold the story because it said story about Tarantino.
Look it up. Because I'm curious about that now.
Because I thought that's what I remember. It was just a couple weeks ago.
He didn't have. It wasn't like the final. It wasn't the same situation with True Romance, which is a good film, where he wrote the screenplay. But I feel like it was. I don't know if it was just story for Natural Born Killers or if he wrote the screenplay, but had a credit with Oliver Stone.
It says screenplay Oliver Stone, David Belaz, and Richard Rutowski.
Okay, so he did write the story and then
wrote the story and sold it to him.
Another reason, I guess, I don't like the film.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It definitely. I mean, I'd always heard about it and always known about it, and was like, "Hey, I need to watch this sometime," because Tarantino, came up with it, and it had Woody Harrelson and
Juliette Lewis,
who
Robert Downey Jr.
had Robert Downey Jr. I liked a lot, and Juliette Lewis, who plays the same character pretty much all throughout the '90s. every movie. It's sad. He's like a beautiful, sad, kind of dumb, ditzy girl who's Southern. She plays it well. She plays it very well. And I enjoyed it. It felt very psychedelic. And I mentioned it to the person I was watching it with. I was like, man, it feels like, because when they were like, had gotten together and were driving around and stuff, it felt like, I was like, this feels like they're like taking like psychedelics and shit, and like, because that's the way the movie was kind of cut and edited, was to feel very trippy. And then I found out they were eating shrooms out there in the desert, and I was like, it all makes sense now. That movie, it made more sense when I thought about it through that perspective. And then once I found that out, I was like, oh, okay, I like this a lot more now. The last like 45 minutes of it completely was like, took me for a loop, and I wasn't expecting it to play out that way, and I felt it was weird. Weirder than the way the other parts of the movie were, but I enjoyed it overall. I don't know if I'd go out and buy it, but I'd watch it again.
Just plug those lights in.
No. I'm not your production assistant.
Well, see, my thing was, before Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I rewatched all of Tarantino's films. And in doing so, I wanted to watch everything, too, which I didn't end up watching the Four Rooms.
I've never seen
part of, but
the other one. What you mention?
True Romance.
I never saw that, but I've seen the Brad Pitt scenes.
So I watched True Romance, which I like a lot. It's good. And then I watched Natural Born Killers, which I don't like.
Yeah.
I like the
Dusk Till
story.
Dawn.
I watched that as well.
You like it?
No. I didn't like that movie. But the story of True Romance, I did like, and that makes sense because now knowing that he just created the story, I liked it. I thought it had a lot of potential. The actual screenplay and how it played out, I didn't like it. And I definitely didn't like the directing. I didn't like the cinematography, which is strange because Robert Richardson did the cinematography, and he's probably one of my favorite cinematographers